Have you ever felt stuck before you even started? Well, maybe it's staring at a blank page or tackling a massive to-do list or taking that first step toward a long-held dream. Well, the fear of starting is something we all face. It's that nagging voice that tells us, well, the task is too big, or the timing isn't right, or hey, we're just not ready. But here's the thing, nothing great gets finished unless we find the courage to begin. And today's episode, we'll uncover what holds us back from starting and explore how to shift our perspective and share some practical steps to help you and I take action with confidence. It's time to break through that fear and take that all-important first step to start. So hang on.
This podcast is brought to you by DJ Works Media and HalftimeSuccess.com, offering resources and insights for those at mid-career or the halftime of life. Explore our diverse categories, including courses, coaching, health, music, software, and travel. We're here to help you make this stage of life your best ever. So get our new articles, downloads, and podcasts by signing up for weekly updates at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
We've all been there, staring at that blank screen or a daunting to-do list or the first step of that big project, and we're feeling frozen by the sheer weight of beginning. Whether it's launching a new career, starting a fitness journey, or it's writing the first sentence of a book. Well, the fear of starting can feel just overwhelming. But here's the truth. Beginning is the gateway to finishing, and overcoming that initial fear is the first step toward success. And in this article and part of a podcast, there's an article that comes with this. We will explore the root causes of the fear of beginning, and we're going to reframe in our mindsets how we think about starting and provide some practical strategies to help you take the first step with confidence. And I need to apply all of these as well in my own life. It's always a review for me. So it's good for all of us. So let's first understand the fear of beginning. The fear of beginning, it's more common than we think. It often stems from three main sources: the fear of failure, the overwhelm, and perfectionism. And starting something new, it just can feel very risky. And what if it doesn't work out? And will people judge you? How will they think of you after you fail? Well, those questions, they can paralyze us before we even begin. And sometimes the sheer size of a project, it makes it seem impossible to tackle. And the thought of everything that needs to be done, well, it can prevent us from even focusing on the first step. And it's hard. And for many, the need to get things just right, it creates a fear of starting at all. And if we can't do it perfectly, we think it's just better not to try. And I've known those who have a very, very good chance of winning even a competition, but they've not submitted their materials because they hadn't got their entry just right. Perfectionism. And these fears, they lead to analysis, you're paralyzed by analysis, procrastination, and even self-doubt, trapping us in a cycle of inaction. Now, however, once we understand those fears and we understand about ourselves, well, we can address them head on with a renewed mindset. So let's talk about reframing our mindset. To overcome the fear of beginning, we need to shift our mindset to a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. Now, we've heard of this, but a fixed mindset, it says, well, if I don't know exactly how to do this from the start, there's no point in even trying. I'll never get done. A growth mindset says, I may not have the answers now, but taking the first step is how I will learn and grow along the way. Well, here are some steps that may help you develop that growth mindset. First, start small and then focus on the process and putting perfection aside. The most intimidating tasks often become manageable when broken into smaller steps. I have had to do this many times in my life. Starting small not only reduces the fear, but it builds momentum. And think of a novelist who begins by jotting down just one sentence, or a runner who starts by just jogging for 5 minutes. Those small actions, they pave the way for bigger accomplishments. And there's some great books on this principle, Tiny Habits and Atomic Habits. I've got those links in the article that comes with this. So instead of obsessing over the final result, focus on the act of just start and celebrate the courage it takes to begin. And knowing that progress is made one step at a time, we have to remind ourselves about this all the time and create some sort of reward that you'll look forward to, such as a cappuccino or a 15-minute walk through a park. And this approach, it shifts your perspective from perfectionism to learning and growth. And my mid-morning cappuccino, it's often my reward for finishing an article or completing really a tough step in a new project that I wasn't looking forward to. And waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan, well, that can be a trap. Except that your first attempt, it might be flawed. And that's okay. Every new parent goes through this. When that baby arrives, most anyone who has been a new mom knows the feeling of needing to keep that baby warm and content. And when crying occurs, which happens often, well, it's okay. It's part of the process. Don't panic, right? Progress comes from doing, not from waiting for that perfection. And somehow those little infants in our care, well, they do grow up, and amazingly so. So let's talk about some practical strategies for overcoming the fear. It's real. The fear is real. And with the right mindset in place, you can take action to start with confidence. And the first step is just to set something very, very small and achievable. And then you visualize where you'll be when you're finished. And that's where identifying short-term and long-term goals really help. And get our free downloads, by the way. Those links are in the article. The goals don't have to be huge to be impactful. They should just be specific with the ability to break them down into very, very small steps. It takes time to do that, but it's worth it. And big tasks, it can feel less overwhelming when broken down into those small, specific goals. And for example, instead of saying, oh, I need to write a book, we'll start with, well, I'll write the first sentence, or I'll write a couple paragraphs. And completing small tasks creates a sense of accomplishment and builds momentum. Be consistent on this. The task doesn't have to be large. And I recently talked with a friend who had put off the simple task of sewing buttons on a garment. Well, even though it was so simple, she knew it needed to be done. But so there would be no excuse for getting it done. She laid out the buttons, the thread, and the needle the night before to finish the task the following day. And even with that small of a task, it felt great to get it done. And she knew she'd have to look at that all day unless she started. So take a moment to picture the task before you. Close your eyes and imagine how it will feel to be finished, even if it's a tiny little project. Picture yourself crossing that finish line and holding the completed product or celebrating your achievement. And this visualization can provide that motivation needed to take that first step. I love this step. Create accountability and eliminate distractions, especially the eliminate distractions. But many skip this step or they don't feel it's necessary. Now, momentum is easily lost when a period of time passes, right? Putting off projects and goals, it's like, now I really can't. You just lost momentum. Well, share your goals with someone that you trust, even if it sounds just absolutely crazy. Well, telling others what you plan to do not only provides clarity as you hear yourself say that, but it makes you more likely to actually follow through. And deadlines and public commitments, it can also help push you into action. And what about a coach? Well, there's a great study, I've got the link in the article, Price Waterhouse Coopers and the Association Resource Center. There's a report on that. So the average ROI, or return on investment, it's 7 times the cost of employing a coach. And the role of a coach can be a mentor, a trusted friend, or someone who understands your goals, and even an accountability group, someone that holds you accountable. That's important. Don't shy away from that. And also, in eliminating distractions, it creates clarity and a clearer focus. So set up a workspace or tools to make starting easier. And one of my tricks is to set my timer for cleaning off my desk, which I don't really like to do. It takes time, but when a desk or a workspace is cleared of clutter, our minds will be less cluttered. And the Marie Kondo books are great for this. Of course, they're a little strict, but they worked. Or Deep Work by Cal Newport. I put those links in the article as well. That those distractions, if we eliminate them, it takes away some of our excuses for not starting. I love the story of Bethany Hamilton, and she was born in 1990, and she's an American professional surfer. And if you've read about her, she survived a shark attack in 2003, where her left arm was completely bitten off. And ultimately, she returned to professional surfing, and she wrote about her experiences in her book, Soul Surfer. And in the immediate aftermath, though, of the shark attack, she remained surprisingly calm, but then she grieved not only for the physical loss of her arm, but the challenges it presented to her future as a competitive surfer. This is what she had worked her whole life for. And she wondered if she'd ever surf again. She had to adapt to a new way of living and performing even small everyday tasks. But she adopted a growth mindset. Little by little, she dealt with those setbacks, working with one arm only, working on balance. And then she got in the water, paddling and approaching waves. And her deep faith and her focus on gratitude, along with setting new goals of still competing, those were those key factors in her recovery. And she never gave up pursuing her dream. And in 2004, she won the ESPY Award for Best Comeback Athlete and also received the Courage Team Award. She worked hard. I'm sure it wasn't easy. So let's apply this to us. How can we apply it, these principles? Well, to start, identify one thing you've been avoiding. Just write it down. And then create very, very small steps to not only start, but fully complete the project. And then, just as my friend laid out the materials to finish sewing buttons on that little garment, plan for action on the first step. And your future self will thank you for having the courage to start. And it does take courage. I talk about courage a lot in my book, The Summit, which is a story within a story. But Mallory, who ended up, her name changed to Andrea, which means strong and courageous, she had to go through a number of things in her life to gain that courage. It's important for us all. We have to go through some of those valleys and some of those difficult moments with our mindsets and with just what we are doing to be able to develop more courage and more strength and more resilience. So don't be afraid of that, especially as we are getting going in a new year. It's a great time to just review these principles over and over. Thank you for joining me. It's a great topic, great topic of starting. I have known many who have talked years. Oh, I'd like to do this. Oh, I'd like to do this. Another year passes, another couple months passes, and then another year. It's very, very important to me that I can encourage you along in your journey. We need you. If you are at halftime of life, if you are mid-career, if you are thinking about your next steps, don't just sit. Maximize those experiences. Sit and evaluate them first and get started somehow. I help a certain number of people to be able to do that. But find something that will help you move ahead in life. Thanks again for joining me. Really appreciate you hanging with me, especially through topics like this that are, they can be inspiring, but to apply them is another step on your part, is another step on mine. So I will look forward to being with you again next time. And until then, bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.